you know, how many pellets they should get. They got 4 tons of pellets for the winter.
Oh, yeah?
Just
Yeah.
seems absurd number of, you know.
Now, we've got electric. It comes underwater, but primarily wood heat.
You want to unlock it?
Oh, I thought it, I thought it did.
I gotta read it for you. You decided it was somebody else's.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe we were tearing out the barn. There we go. Good evening. Good evening. Halloween yesterday. I tell you, it is. Yeah. I would say that jot farm, we'll put that on the calendar for discussion. No, it's been all, it's all over King County.
Yeah.
So, there's volunteer director of public. Doing, Johnny?
I'm gonna bounce light
You got a bounce light for you or me?
for you guys.
No.
Trying to light up this room. I really need a better way to do that. But yeah.
That's just tomorrow. Yeah.
This one keeps me warm now.
Of course, now that really makes it makes it a little difficult to see the people's face on the screen. It's so bright in the background.
Really?
Yeah. Makes the screen dark. Especially Jeff and
Makes Kyle look like he hasn't shaved in a week.
What do you get? There you go.
a little bit.
Yeah,
It won't stop me.
I'm not ready to rock and roll.
Yeah. John, we ready, set, ready to rock and roll?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, call the meeting to order. This meeting is once again, an in-person meeting is not practical or prudent due to the current coronavirus 19 pandemic. Therefore, following the executive order of Governor Pritzker, we are authorized to have a virtual or remote meeting of the Board of Directors this evening. And I just want to verify that the attending via Zoom can hear us. Mr. Hardy?
Yes,
All right, Mr. Farino,
Yes.
Mr. Atlee,
Yes.
Mr. Nemec,
Affirmative.
Mr. Steele,
Yep.
Dillinger,
Yes.
and Chief Rivas. All right, those 7 individuals are attending remote. In attendance in person is Trustee Merkel, myself, Village President, Village Clerk Mills. In the audience, we have Mr. Kopax and Mr. Florence. All right.
Mr. President, Mark Schuster, the village
Oh,
attorney.
Mr. Schuster, there we go.
Also in attendance by Zoom.
All right, I just see a name now. I don't see a picture, Mr. Schuster.
Well, let's fix that. There we go.
There you are. Okay, welcome to the meeting.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, to the republic
Which stands
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mr. Dattley,
Here.
Mr. Harney.
Here.
Merkel.
Here.
Mr. Nemec,
Here.
Mr. Moreno,
Here.
Mr. Zamba. You have a quorum, Mr. President.
We have a quorum, we have a meeting. All right, the next item on the agenda. What did I do with the agenda? Here it is. Minutes. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes of September 21st, 2020?
So moved.
Second. Yeah.
Moved by Merkel, seconded by Diatley. Are there any corrections to the minutes? There being none, roll call, please.
Mr. Moreno,
Aye.
Mr. Nemec,
Aye.
Mr. Merkel,
Aye.
Mr. Harney,
aye,
Mr. Dattley.
Aye.
Okay, 5 ayes and no nays, the minutes so carried. All right, President's report.
President Pickett,
Yes,
I'd like to make a motion that we amend the agenda to move the swearing in of our new part-time police officer, Glenn Edwards, up in the agenda.
all right, we have a second.
Second.
Motion by Diatley, seconded by Merkel to amend the agenda to move the item for the hiring of a new part-time officer under the police to the current point of the agenda. Any comments, questions, or discussion? There being none, roll call, please.
Mr. Dattley,
Aye.
Mr. Harney,
aye,
Mr. Merkel. Aye. Mr. Nemec,
Aye.
Mr. Moreno.
Aye.
Motion carries.
5 affirmative votes and no negative votes against the motion to amend the agenda, so carries. Chief Rivas.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. With the promotion of Jalen Walker hopefully happening a little bit later today, we have a position open for part-time officer. So today I present to you Glenn Edwards. We ask that you approve his nomination and approve him to join us here as a part-time officer. We were impressed with his communication skills, his experience, and willingness to work all shifts. He comes to us from the Rosemont Police Department. He's a certified emergency medical technician. He attended courses at College of DuPage. He's TASER and PVT trained. He is an Illinois State Certified Police Officer. And the starting rate, as you see, should be in your packet if you have any questions or concerns, but we are asking for your approval to promote him to part-time status.
We have a motion to so hire.
So moved to hire Officer Glenn Edwards as a part-time police officer in the village of Sleepy Hollow.
Second.
Second,
Moved by Gaddis,
Arnie.
seconded by Merkel to hire Glenn Evans as a part-time police officer in the village of Sleepy Hollow at a rate of $22 an hour. Any further comments, questions, or discussion? There being none, roll call, please.
Mr. Dattley,
Aye.
Mr. Harney,
aye.
Mr. Merkel,
Aye.
Mr. Nimitz,
Aye.
Mr. Moreno.
Aye.
Motion carries.
5 affirmative votes, no negative votes. The motion so carries.
Okay, this is usually the part where I raise my right for not doing so.
Yes, sir.
I have here the oath of office. I will read and you will read as well. There it says, I, and then state your name, please. I state your name,
Glenn Edwards,
having been duly hired for the position of patrol officer. Repeat after me.
having been duly hired for the position of patrol officer
In the village of Sleepy Hollow, King County, Illinois,
in the village of Sleepy Hollow, Kane County, Illinois,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the ordinances of the village of Sleepy Hollow,
and the ordinances of the village of Sleepy Hollow,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of patrol officer to the best of my ability.
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of patrol officer to the best of my ability.
Welcome to the Sleepy Hollow, Officer Edwards. And here's a pen, clean. You can sign it, and that is for your copy. And again, welcome to the village.
Thank you.
Usually we shake your hand, but we'll just wave tonight.
Yeah.
You can see these other guys.
Thank you, everyone.
With this bump, but that hurts too. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now we will return to the regular published agenda, President's report, the update on the coronavirus relief fund. Currently, we await the receipt of the IGA from the county board. It's my understanding that the county board is to take this up tomorrow at their monthly meeting. So hopefully by the end of tomorrow, we will have some more affirmative word on our application for the Corona Relief Fund. Are there any questions in regards to the relief fund? There being none, we'll move on to the clerk's report.
The only item I have for tonight is an apology. I noted in the minutes that I neglected to include that we did recite the Pledge of Allegiance at the last meeting. We had audio problems with our both digital recorders, and I did not pick that up. That was an oversight on my part. That will be corrected going forward. But other than that, I have no other report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Mills. Planning and zoning, there is no report. Attorney, Mr. Schuster.
No report, some comments later on under old business, Mr. President.
All right, thank you, sir. Engineer, Jeff.
The only item that I have on there is for board approval of Comcast permit application JB 43288. Basically what that is it's just Comcast cable replacement along Glen Oak Drive near the intersection of Glen Oak and Surrey. So it's just basically the replacement. I guess some cable went bad in that area.
I go ahead and move this, Joe. Approve Comcast permit application JB 436288.
Second, Harney.
Moved by Nemec, seconded by Harney to approve Comcast application JB 436288. Any further comments, questions, or discussion? There being none, roll call, please.
Mr. Nimitz,
Aye.
Mr. Harney,
Aye.
Mr. Dattley,
Aye.
Mr. Merkel,
Aye.
Mr. Pringle.
Aye.
Motion carries.
5 affirmative motions, no negative votes. The motion so carries. The permit is approved.
The only other item is just to let the board know is tomorrow morning, I have the pre-construction meeting for the 2020 street program. I should get a start date from that meeting and I will let the board know as soon as that's going to start.
All right, and Jeff, in your mailbox are the signed, I don't know, are they contracts
Okay, yeah, great. Thank you.
program
Thank
that Mr. Mills and I have signed this afternoon for you?
Thank you.
Sure thing.
Jeff, are we gonna get a report? We've been waiting for a report on the Willow Road.
Yeah, I emailed that out last week.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
You said you emailed it last week.
Yeah, I got it.
The actual Willow Lane one, I was going to say I sent out to a couple board members in regards to the Willow Lane, the culverts.
Okay.
I think he's talking about the main one with the drainage in the backyards.
Right.
Right.
I was talking about the study that we had you do with the, talking about the soils up above and the.
Yeah, I sent that out last week. Did you not get a copy of that?
I did not get a copy, if you could.
Yeah,
send me-
I'll forward that out to you then tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem.
Okay, nothing else to the engineer. Finance. We have a motion to approve the accounts payable for October 5th, 2020.
I'll make a motion to approve the accounts payable of October 5, 2020 in the amount of $69,023.37.
Second.
Moreno, second. I had a motion by Markle, seconded by Diatley to approve the accounts payable October 5th, 2020 in the amount of $69,023.37. Any additions, deletions, comments, or questions? There being none, roll call, please.
Mr. Merkel,
Aye.
Mr. Dattley,
Aye.
Mr. Harney,
Aye.
Mr. Nimitz,
Aye.
Mr. Pareno.
Aye. 5 affirmative votes, no negative votes. The motion so passes. Okay, public comments. We've got a couple comments that were sent in this evening. Where they are. First one is Mr. Weber, resident of the village of Sleepy Hollow. His topic is Halloween. He would like his comment read during the meeting. The comment is, quote, difficult to stop trick or treat, but believe it's the best thing to do. Neighborhood could still decorate for kids to drive or walk. Also would be good if Headless Horseman Ride could be streamed virtually, unquote. Okay, the next one is a Delana Carver, Pledge of Allegiance type of questions, like my comment read for me during the meeting. Keep contact info. Okay. Quote, I have commented before about why the Pledge of Allegiance is not in the minutes, but my question was truly never answered. How hard is it? It happened at the meeting, so it should be in the minutes. I pledge my allegiance every day to those who fight for this country. While I am grateful that the village does do the pledge at every meeting, I don't understand why it can't be in the meeting minutes. Please, going forward, include the Pledge of Allegiance in the meeting minutes. There are other small towns that do this both in and out of Illinois. Look at the minutes for West Dundee, Van Meter, Iowa, or even Sun Valley, Idaho. Thanks. It seems my last attempts were simply dismissed. Trustees looking disinterested, Public Works Director getting up for a drink of water, and a president waiting to get to the next comment. I get the Pledge of Allegiance has been said at every meeting, but why is it not in the minutes? I thought we were at a resolution since one of the recent minutes made a reference to the Pledge of Allegiance, which I thank the village for. However, the subsequent minutes have no references. For our country, please do the right thing. Delana. Okay, moving on from public comments, trustees reports, roads and parks. Mr. Harney.
Nothing to report this evening, Mr. President.
Thank you, sir. Finance, Mr. Ziemba is absent this evening. Water and Sewer, Mr. Nemec.
Since we have all the parties here, a while ago, Kyle had Water Services try to survey the line and valves between Walnut and Carroll Crest, and they were pretty confident that there's not a water main there. Jeff Steele had said that information, did a good job looking up, came from a real old map that dates back to the Fleece Water Company days. So we should probably remove that from our village map when you get a chance, Jeff, unless you have some other recommendations there. And then we also need to someplace put that in our list of priorities to loop Walnut Drive with Carroll Crest, because that's kind of a high priority one, Jeff, isn't it, for the length of it?
Yeah, just given the length of it, especially since it's a dead end right there, is once it starts getting up that high, is you really want to loop those lanes just to make sure that there's no stagnant water that sits in there.
And I guess you can look at the map, we could go to Acorn Court too, but either way, that's going to be a expensive and long proposition, because I believe you said there are no utility easements in there that we could utilize for that.
None that are readily available. However, that doesn't mean that they don't exist, is just because once you start getting in towards the older portions, is it just makes it harder as far as recorded files that you can readily find. So you might end up having to go directly to the county and see if there's anything on that directly.
So that's all I have, unless there's questions.
This was looping between Walnut and,
Well, Walnut Drive has to be looped, so it can get looped, I guess, to Winmore, Carroll Crest, or Acorn, I think are our three possibilities, just, but it's a long dead end water main on a court that, according to our old map, showed it loop, but we're pretty convinced now that it's a dead end. Kyle, unless you have any input on that, I mean, it's.
No, I mean, I'm pretty confident with Water Services' ability to find water main. And then the guy said he's 99.9% sure there's no water main. The other thing too is there's no easement. So.
Right. So we need an easement either north, east, or south. So either way, we'll need 4 homeowners to agree upon it. So.
okay,
Mr. President?
yes.
Yeah, I apologize. I'm checking my notes. I should have reported that the new drainage pipe under Hillcrest was performed by Public Works, and they report that it went smoothly and at cost.
Okay, thank you, Ed. Appreciate it.
That-
Okay. You're through, Joe. Police and Public Safety.
You'll notice in your packet, the chief has included a letter for the full-time promotion recommendation of Jalen Walker. Chief, could you speak to that?
Absolutely. Thank you, Trustee Diatley. Since we have hired Officer Walker, he has been a fantastic addition to our department. You see his information. Was a police officer with the Maywood Police Department and Stone Park, and he's currently a part-time police officer with the Bellwood Police Department. He was also a former dispatcher and a former records clerk, so he worked his way up through the process. We had 2 people put in for the position, Officer Jalen Walker and Officer Christopher Diori. Both are very capable and definitely both deserving. At this time, we decided to go to Officer Walker for the full-time position, and we are seeking the board's approval to appoint him to full-time status. Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion that we promote Officer Jalen Walker to full-time status as a police officer in the village of Sleepy Hollow.
Second.
Arnie, second.
Moved by Diatley, seconded by Merkel to authorize the hiring of the promotion of Jalen Walker from part-time to full-time at a salary of $52,505.38 per year. Any comments, questions, or discussion? There being none, roll call, please.
Mr. Dattley,
Aye.
Mr. Harney,
Aye.
Mr. Merkel,
Aye.
Mr. Nimitz,
Aye.
Mr. Pareno.
Aye.
Motion carries.
5 affirmative votes, no negative votes. The motion so carries. Jalen Walker is promoted to full-time from part-time. Okay.
Thank you,
Thank you.
gentlemen.
That's all.
All right, thank you, Steve. Building and environment, Tom?
I asked to have this political vandalism put on, I guess, I'm not really quite sure what buildings and environment is, but I guess this is dealing with our environment in the village, so. There's a 92-year-old lady that lives on Locust. She had a Trump for President sign in her yard, 20 feet across. On Hillcrest was a Biden sign. She went out to the store for 20 or 30 minutes, a 92-year-old lady. She came back, someone stole her sign. The Biden sign is still there. I had a couple Trump signs in my yard stolen in the middle of the night. They were found in the pavilion by the Sabatino Park with BLM on it, Antifa symbols, and filthy words that I can't say in a meeting here. I don't think they were stolen probably by Black Lives Matter people or Antifa people, but just some neighborhood punks. But worse than the signs, in the middle of Thoroughbred Lane in large red spray paint, they wrote the words F Trump, but they spelled the word out. They tagged one of our street signs, and in the park, they put filth all over one of the slides, the slide that's most hidden. The reason they choose to do this at night is because they're cowards. But it bothers me about the signs, but it really bothers me about the park where young children are there. I mean, when I was a kid, maybe just the way I was raised, I didn't even know these words existed. But now you got these punks putting these signs out. I just wanted to draw that to everybody's attention. To me, the damage was done by cowards, as they usually do under the cover of darkness. I just want to, I doubt that they're watching our meeting, but I want to tell them they're cowards and pathetic. And also that they should be aware that in the village, I know on my property, there's cameras everywhere. So anybody watches this, I don't know how many people in the village watch this, but if they know anything about these parties, I'd ask them to come forward. And one of the village police officer told me they're probably somewhere between 17 and 25, but nowadays you see such idiotic things happening that it's not necessarily mean that they're 25 or under. And I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention and to be vigilant. And, you know, I don't see Donald Trump is ever going to win the state of Illinois, but people have the right to put up and support the candidate of their choice. And I drive through the village a lot. I see the Biden signs. The Biden signs aren't torn down, but the Trump signs seem to disappear quickly. So anyhow, everybody, if you just be vigilant, because if these punks are doing this kind of thing, they'll be the type of guys that they may be breaking into your cars or breaking in your garage or whatever. So I just felt I needed to bring that up, especially when somebody noticed that a 92-year-old woman left for 20 to 30 minutes and her sign disappeared at the time she was gone. It tells me somebody was, it's kind of scary that maybe even watching her house. So that's all I had to say.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Building and zoning, Anthony.
In your packet, you had the monthly report for September. And I just have one question for the chief. On the report, it says NTA fines. What does NTA?
That would be for a notice to appear fine, because they have the option to pay the fine instead of appear in court.
So the total amount there of $2,300 is that they appeared or that they refused to appear?
No, that they paid the fine, and that is an accumulative. That isn't for the month. We accumulate $2,300 in fines. That's for the year. It's a rolling total.
Yeah, because on the previous monthly report of July 2020, that field was left blank. So this is a year-to-date. Okay, that's all I had, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you, Anthony.
Hey, Anthony, or Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
I just want to let you know I had a resident approach me unsolicited the other day. And to pass it along, he wanted to compliment your department, ICCI, and the work they've been doing with all the catching up and everything, and making sure that everybody's getting building permits. And also, he's seen a positive impact in the code enforcement. He thought the code enforcement was doing a great job of keeping the village looking great. So thank you, and to the chief for that, and to Jeff Fleck and the ICCI. But I just wanted to pass that along to you at the meeting. So.
Very good. Thank you, Joe. I know Mrs. Detmer will be at my house on Wednesday to give my first inspection for my driveway.
Ah, nice.
Hope it goes well.
Absolutely. You don't want an NTA.
No.
With what I'm paying for the driveway,
That's what I mean.
I can't afford an NTA.
Okay, Joan, thank you. Other trustee reports, move to old business. Under old business, we've got the review of the miscellaneous village fees.
Mr. President, I delivered to the clerk today, and I saw he tried to send out to everyone what I think is now a comprehensive list of fees in the village for products and services. So if everyone could take a look at that, maybe in your area of concern or across the board. And the question is, do any of those need to be changed, increased, or eliminated? Whatever the point is, we would like to have an updated comprehensive list available for staff and the public for the various items they may purchase or services required from the village.
So Mark,
Yes.
I had talked to Wendy to make sure that we were incorporated everything on there, and the water looked good, but she did note that there was a few things that we had changed via ordinance and that did not make their way. Should I forward that to you or to the clerk, or?
Sure.
Okay, I'll forward it to both of you guys.
Yeah.
It's
So
like
we
the
want this
past,
on
the vehicle
agenda.
fees, things like that.
Okay. We want this on the agenda for the 19th for another review? No.
Well, at some point it should be approved by a motion and vote. So if the 19th is appropriate or the meeting after that, in the meantime, we'll collect everyone's comments and see what needs to be done or what further discussion would be advisable.
Okay, let's put it on the agenda for the 19th again, see if we've got everything by that time. If not, we can pick it up, that'd be the November 2nd meeting.
Okay.
Okay,
I have just
And
a
I do-
quick question.
what is that? Anthony?
Prano here. If we were going to suggest any changes in the dollar amounts, we should send that in to whom? And then during the next meeting, then we would vote on those changes or vote on the entire fee schedule.
Correct.
Yeah, if you've got some changes you want to recommend, send them to Tony or to Mark so that they can be picked up. And then when
Right.
we get the entire list, the 19th, we can review it. And if it looks feasible to us, then we can put it on the agenda for the 2nd of November for passage. So,
Thank you.
Hey, Mr. President,
Yes,
just two comments. When this first started off, when I was talking to Mark about some of the new water fees, he said that this fee schedule should really be reviewed once a year. So
right.
maybe we need to
Right,
put
but-
that, a
Put it
standard
in
thing.
with the budget.
Yeah,
That was my thought during the budget process. This would be just a couple of pages to take and look at in the budget process and help make that determination if any of these need to be increased or modified.
the other question I had is, what was I gonna say, for the chief, I don't know, previous, one of these emails going around, there was a bunch of, I think our fees for various infractions around the village. Is that included in this too then, Mark, or is that something completely different?
It depends. It could be for the administrative tickets. There's a
Yes.
schedule of fines that was adopted about this time, about 2016 or 17. If you want to look at that as well, I can be sure that that gets circulated to everybody.
That would be a great idea.
Okay.
Chief, do you have any comments on that, Chief? Is that something we should be reviewing once a year too, you think?
I think that's a good start, just to see if we're running current with the region as well as, with the other area departments around us, just to make sure we're not falling behind.
Okay. Any other comments on the review of the miscellaneous fees? If not, move to the third Millennium proposal. Mr. Nemick.
Yes, so Mr. Pickett a while ago had asked me to look into the possibilities of outsourcing our water billing. For a couple of years, I have been sending emails out soliciting. I've gotten several solicitations by email. Third Millennium is the first company that has responded to a village our size. We do not do any work for villages that size. It's not worth our effort. I can add that it is the same company that West Dundee uses, East Dundee uses, and since West Dundee is our IT person, I talked to Wendy today. She said they're familiar and it'd be a very easy transition. So I'd like to make a motion to authorize Wendy to get a contract from them and authorize Mark to review such contract for approval when it gets done.
Harney, second.
Okay, we had a motion by Nemick to authorize the attorney to review a contract concerning Third Millennium Associates handling the water and sewer billing for the village of Sleepy Hollow. Any further comments, questions, or discussion?
Well, and Wendy's gonna have to have communication with them to get said contract. So I don't know if that needs to be included in the motion or not, so.
Just gonna, go ahead, Tom, mean that perhaps we're not gonna need as many employees, because wasn't this a big part of our staff?
Wendy's knocked out a thing. There's approximately 2 to 3 hours a month on the billing of just the billing. This is not the accounting process of the day-to-day. This is just the monthly billing, sending out the 1,067 bills.
And it also would not be any kind of
It would
payment system.
eliminate the need of a $1,200 laser printer. It eliminates the need of the laser cartridge that has to go in there. It eliminates the need for us to buy the postcards and print them. This would all be taken care of by an outsourced company. And we just pay for the typical printing and our postage.
To me, the pricing seems very reasonable.
It was, and if we would want to, I could ask them to give a presentation. Steve, Wendy, and I were on a presentation. They're very professional, and there's actually a lot of other benefits that are included in this that are just, I shouldn't say free, but they're just included by the way they do business. So.
Any further comments, questions on the motion? Roll call, please. Mr. Dattley.
Aye.
Mr. Harney.
Aye.
Mr. Merkel.
No.
Mr. Nimick.
Aye.
Mr. Moreno.
Aye.
Mr. Zambo. Aye. 5 affirmatives, 1 negative, motion so carries. Okay. Anything else, Mr. Nemick?
No, that was it on that. So.
Okay.
Steve, I guess I can add this, Steve. I did talk to Wendy today. She would like to move forward on some kind of electronic payment system, which their bids seem a little expensive, but I know you've been working on that for other items because that includes more than just water. So I pass that along.
Okay, appreciate it. Okay, the next item of old business, 874 Winmore cost sharing proposal. At the last meeting, everybody, if you will recall, Mr. Lopez of 874 Winmore came before the board and requested the board consider a cost sharing agreement in the replacement of his culverts and driveway at 874. There was some concerns and some questions about it, and it was the decision of the board to put this off onto tonight's agenda. So it is back on the agenda. Who would like to take on? Jeff Do you have any more comments? I see your letter's been included in the packet again.
That's basically everything that I had written on there as far as what the issue is and possible solutions. Just to give you an idea, as far as the cost that's actually on there, it's just a very rough cost. And as far as the ditch grading is, it was just basically fixing what's in front of the culvert. Eventually, is possibly next year, it should be budgeted that that whole ditch be regraded just to improve it and possibly add in some ditch checks and such just to help on the erosion of that ditch.
Okay, anybody else from the board have a comment or question concerning the cost sharing proposal?
I think at the last meeting, Kyle thought the figures were quite a bit different than Jeff's estimates. Could you speak to that, Kyle? Or?
I mean, they were it was within a couple grand.
Yeah, like I said, it was just very rough cost estimations. Specifically in regards to the ditch is obviously is depending on the amount of work that we want to put into the ditch probably next year that was really just for this year in order to help improve it so it's not going to get any worse on the ditch itself.
The question I have is last time there was also some questions on if this was for one culvert or two, because we have culverts, which is plural. Just wanted to make sure is it one culvert or two?
It is a half circle driveway, so there's actually two culverts.
Okay, that's what I just wanted to double check. Thank you.
I had a question for Mark. If we agree to do some cost sharing, to me, that means that we're either admitting liability or responsibility, whatever you want to call it, that the village's actions or inactions with the water has caused this. Would this, if I'm not saying we should take responsibility or say that we're liable, but if we are, would this be something we could turn over to our insurance carrier?
I'm not sure. I guess I would have to talk to Mr. Steele about that. I know he wrote that in part, well, I know the homeowner claimed that it was caused by drainage issues, and Jeff, I wasn't sure if you told, it sounded like you agreed with that a little bit, but you also had a concern about the time that's gone by without addressing the situation, and that probably added to the distress on the culvert or culverts. So I guess the answer is potentially. I don't know what coverage there is for this kind of thing in the village's policy, but we could think about that.
Yeah, I think the resident was blaming some of it on broken water mains. I guess what I would like, and from Jeff, and maybe you can't really give it to us, is did our action or inaction cause this, or did it not? You know, I mean, that's. I've been out there a couple of times to look at it, and now I can't. I was there again this afternoon. The south end of that culvert that's collapsed, it looks like it's covered with cloth or something. You can't even see the culvert there anymore, the piping. But I think we need some direction as to whether this is something that we caused, or is it maybe when the culvert was put in, it wasn't put in properly, or it's just failed because of cars driving over it like some of them do.
Were we able to find
Yeah,
any
I
other
would
records
agree with
about the?
Tom.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ed.
Ed?
I would agree with some of Tom's comments. After the last meeting, I was left, the question to me was to be answered was, did the water main breaks cause this or contribute? And it sounded to me like maybe possibly there was inattention to culvert failure that even started way back before the present homeowner had this property. So I think that's where I left off with with not knowing the water main breaks. Just how much did they contribute if they contributed?
And that's what I was gonna say, is I wonder if we were able to find any letters from the previous homeowner, but had these culverts been replaced when they first started rusting out or failing on the bottom, would the damage have been as severe or any damage at all? I mean, if they're, which I guess would be up to Mr. Steele or Mr. Killinger or otherwise, but I mean, this
Well,
seems like it's a long going, the problem's been going on for decades now.
sure. Why don't we can check the files again, and Mr. Steele and I'll have a conversation and determine if with the village president, if a claim is in order. Report back to you at your next meeting.
And the resident is here this evening in the village hall.
I have another question regarding Jeff's letter.
Okay, Anthony?
I know that, do we have a total dollar amount of what the project would be? Because as it lists here, one culvert looks like 2,500, driveway replacement 2,500, then to be grading the swale 4,500. So is the culvert replacement really $5,000 then, roughly?
No, that was for both of them.
Okay, so based on your letter, the total right here is $9,500 on this estimate, correct?
Yeah, and that was just a very rough cost estimation.
I understand.
Obviously, as Kyle said, is we could increase that by quite a bit as far as depending on how much ditch work that we actually wanted to do. That was just for an immediate remediation of it.
So at the time that we take a look with some other background information and potentially going to an insurance company to see, we would have to determine what that dollar amount would be. And I know that the homeowner had made some reference that they're willing to pay some of the money as well. So I think that just as we put our facts together to make a final decision, we certainly would want to know what the homeowner is paying and what the village would pay / insurance company before, I'd be able to make a vote on doing this or not. That's all my comment.
Okay, we've got Mr. Schuster, Mr. Steele, take a look at this and report back at the October 19th meeting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Consensus of the board?
Yes.
I was going to say, in the meantime, since obviously we're going to want to get more accurate prices as far as the culvert and also pavement removal. Did you want me to work with Kyle as far as getting a more determined figure on what it might cost?
It'd probably help if we had a firm figure to contend with rather than.
The property owner has not received any estimates.
Not that I'm aware of, but if they have, it'd be great to
Mr.
supply.
Lopez is in the audience and he indicates that he has received estimates. I believe he had one at the last meeting. Yes.
Yeah, if he could share those with, let's put that in the hopper for comparison purposes at least.
Okay. Mr. Lopez just presented me with a copy of it. Removal and replacement of 2 culverts, saw cut the asphalt, $4,000.
So in the ballpark.
Was that right? Sandman's paving and so.
Oh, just for the blacktop.
Just for the culverts and the blacktop.
Right. Yeah, that's not for the swale work, but it compares to the 5,000 estimate that Mr. Steele had.
Right.
Okay.
All right. I will get that to both Mr. Steele and Mr. Schuster. Any other comments on 874 Winmore? There being none, Any new business to come before the board? There being no new business to come before the board?
Motion to adjourn, sir.
Second, Diatley.
Moved by Nemick, seconded by Diatley to adjourn. Roll call, please.
Mr. Nimitz,
Aye.
Mr. Dattley,
Aye.
Mr. Hardy,
Aye.
Mr. Merkel. Aye. Mr. Moreno,
Aye.
Mr. Zima.
Aye. 6 affirmative votes, no negatives. We are adjourned. We shall resume again on October 19th at 7:30. See you all then. Stay safe, stay well.
Thank you.
Thanks. Night.
Thank you.
All right. Good night.
Stay dry, Ed.
Good night. Okay.
Sure thing. Did you get any grading estimates on the swale? I know. No. No. You might want to, if that's part of the equation. Okay.
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, I'm just-
Well, I had a guy give me an estimate, but it was without the black. And that was 1,900. Replacing the culverts and everything else done with, and putting in the riprap and the flares and all of that.